Sophisticated, articulate, intellectual. These are words other podcasts use to describe themselves, not us. This is Fairly Harmless. Take a break from being smart. With musical accompaniment provided by the Boston Horns. East Coast Funk. Please enjoy Andrew and James.
That's where I was born.
That's how you do.
Welcome to Fairly Harmless. I'm Andrew.
I'm James.
I'm Fast Eddie.
And I'm Velvet Aquarium.
Very nice.
Very nice.
Velvet Aquarium. That's awesome.
I'm going to go with just Velvet. Does that work?
Velvet
Vel?
Aquarium.
Yeah, I like Vel.
I feel like he's easy. Not
I
in
don't
the way
know.
you're thinking.
I don't know where you're going, Andrew.
I'm not.
I went straight to sex that time.
It's
Right.
okay. That's where the show often goes.
Well, I have a story. This was when I was one of the times that I was in a weekend lockup. Everybody's going around the room and telling what they did to get in there, right?
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
And then so I'm sitting there and I'm trying not to laugh because I don't know how this happened. And I was starting to blossom as a person. And of course I get caught for a DUI right in the midst of that. But I was starting to not be afraid to say the crazy crap that came into my head all the time. And so I'm sitting there trying not to laugh because I know at some point they're going to ask me, what did you do? And I'm like, they said, hey, you're sort of quiet over there. And I was like, that's the perfect intro. I was like, that guy couldn't have set me up better. And I was like, oh, you guys don't recognize me, do you? And they're like, what? And I said, yeah, I was on the news for a while. So and they said, well, what did you do? And I said, well, one newscaster called me the pillow killer. And we're all sitting around. But I said the pillow killer, and then somebody was like this, and I said, yeah, I would sneak around at night. And finally somebody, like in the midst of me doing that. But yeah, so I tried to keep a straight face as far as I could and spun a tale of me, sneaking into houses and having pillows as my weapons.
Did they struggle, your victims?
Right. Oh, there's a pillow right here.
Yeah. That's the Fairly Harmless pillow. That's the pillow that Andrew plans to kill me with.
I dream about smothering him with it.
Right.
Please stop dreaming about me.
So now you can get tips from the expert.
Yeah,
Right.
You're the
pillow
pillow.
killer. Val is the pillow killer.
We've come full circle.
Making
This is
compare
amazing.
notes. Yeah. That's a little, that was humorous to me in the morning after coffee. I do a slurp. I keep my coffee in like.
Please explain this slurp.
I do a slurp. I've got this big, like the biggest cup you can get. It's got a big heart on it.
Big what?
A big heart.
That's what I heard too.
Heart
On it.
We're
Okay.
talking about waking up.
Well,
It's almost like that.
Wait, like a human heart?
no. Yeah, Fast, I think, is saying he heard hard on.
Oh,
Did you hear hard on?
No, I heard
No.
heart.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
Yes.
Please.
please.
It's got a
Val is
big
trying to
heart
tell us
on
about
it.
his heart.
Sorry, Velvet.
It's a heart on it, and yes, I do go to the refrigerator in the morning, and on some good mornings, I might have trouble getting the door open because I've got a heart on it. But not as much as it used to.
Well, we are getting all older.
Right, used to be able to hang a towel on me, and walk around. Where did I put that towel?
That's right.
Oh, I had to look down.
Right.
There it is.
But no, I take a.
Never had that problem.
Somebody said, "Why do you keep your coffee in the refrigerator?" And I'm like, "I have a cup right there, and it's filled with coffee, and so I can open up the door usually, and grab that, and just take a big, like a, almost a gulp of coffee, and then let that work its magic."
So yeah, as people may or may not be able to tell, Velvet is a professional musician and
Yes.
teacher,
Yes.
which
Yeah,
I have to
trying to be
say,
a teacher. But what am I trying to talk about?
This is the most fascinating thing that's ever
I
happened
know.
in this song.
This segs into one of our question areas. Who is the most famous person you have ever performed with or been on stage with?
The first, I had a band called Milkshake with the question mark, y'all. So it was Milkshake. And it actually did something for about a year. I was in the paper. I kind of became a local celebrity in the Nashville, Tennessee, which is a little bit
big.
more of a music town than,
Right,
say,
right.
Raleigh would be.
Right.
So it was cool. I was in one of 3 periodicals a few times. Like, I used to, and I was really into it at that point. I was, walked out and waved to people and said, "Oh, look at me," and had too much fun with that. But the biggest situation, I would say, on stage, because there's, again, being in Tennessee or Nashville, Music City, USA. But a friend of mine that was started in the beginning of the band Milkshake, he didn't make it he didn't get along with there was a thing.
A lot of
There's
shaking
always,
going on.
There's always drama in bands, but his
Happens.
wife or partner, at least at that point, grew up in Indiana, I think, and her family was friends with the Harrelsons,
Ooh.
to answer your question
Oh,
in a
wow.
roundabout way, and said, "Yeah, Woody is coming into town. You guys should play a gig. He wants to come and jam with your band." And it was like, and so I've never done anything as tactical as this in my life. I just like to play music, And so my first gig was with Woody Harrelson.
Wow.
On stage, and he gets on stage. He's just he's not. I expected him to be like natural born killers, like this big
Right.
hulking guy.
Right.
He wasn't. He was just a little pink guy. He was really nice, and he was very, very clean. Very just look how clean he is.
And was he good in your estimation?
He was pretty good. He took a long time in the. He had a lot of pauses like this. And then wouldn't sing.
Just said, yeah.
So I'd go. And then he still would not be singing, so I go. And he's not singing, so I kept playing these things, and the great thing about that show, was that a few people came. There's another person showed up too, which made it even better.
Mick Jagger.
Well, Chris Novoselic from Nirvana,
Holy shit.
who is so tall. And I was talking to that guy after the show. He said, "Hey, can I get up and jam with you too?" And I was like, let me, yes." And we're playing songs. And I remember us doing a Led Zeppelin, like. And he leans down to me and says, "Well, keep playing a song that's in the key of E." And I went, So I'm singing, "Well, I'm standing next to a mountain. Standing next to a mountain." And I'm singing that, and I'm going, "Oh, that was a Freudian slip. I'm standing next to this mountain of a guy, and I'm actually boasting about it in the lyric I'm singing." But
Vel is the mountain that makes the airplanes fly.
He is.
in all his sweetness and coolness, he said something about, "Oh, you went to the wrong chord in that Led Zeppelin song." And he said, "It doesn't go to D, it goes to B." And I said, "Not in that song. No, it doesn't." And then I said, "Well, you got confused because D major is the relative major of B minor." And when I said that, his face kind of went blank, and I was like, "Ha ha." As most people's would. Rock musicians
Yes.
aren't necessarily schooled in the
classics.
the
Nor-
diatonic structure of
nor-
musical notation.
Nor our shooter and I.
No, we
Yeah.
are not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Somebody who's going to listen to this and say, "Holy shit, I know what he's talking about."
Yeah. It's really
Maybe.
not that complex. If you look at a piano, right? The thing of the people in rock bands, the big mistake they make is they're playing stringed instruments.
Okay.
And on this, look at this string. I don't even have to fret it to get that note. But I can play that same note here. Wait, can you hear it's the same?
Yeah.
Now listen to this.
Okay.
Same pitch, the tonality is a little different.
Uh-huh.
Right here.
Huh.
That's the first string. Same note on the fourth string. Fifth string, and then on the sixth string it's... So, I mean, music isn't that complex, but there's a lot to it. It's a science. It keeps going. We're never going to know everything there is to know about music. It would make it a lot easier, though, if most rock musicians knew the rudiments of diatonic structure. Everybody could talk about everything, and it would make sense. Though that term is probably intimidating. I used to dye my hair black, and I would wear a lot of I'm kind of got what is this thing I'm wearing? It's kind of like a pirate shirt or something.
It's like the puffy shirt from Seinfeld.
It is. Right. It kind of is. Yeah. I don't know. I don't know how this happened, to be honest with you. At some point, I found a shirt in my closet, and it was from oh, God, I got to remember this. The tag in it, Scarlet something.
That's a great name for a store.
Go and look down his shirt.
Yeah, look.
Oh, great. I got it in this?
You do this to all the guests?
That's right.
The
That's
girl-
right.
The guests who wouldn't take their shirt off. Can you see it?
You're not going to...
Darkness.
Scarlet
See?
Darkness.
I knew it already, and because I knew that you knew the answer, I relaxed. You ever heard of this? I made this up, this term, but I'm sure that it applies. It's called recall anxiety. Something that you know,
Uh-huh.
but in that moment, because you're either you're trying to answer a question for somebody, your brain clenches up.
You blank.
And because you're
Yeah.
you're anxious about trying to get the recall, but you know that you know it.
Yep.
I have that a lot.
Yeah, recall anxiety.
It's
Yeah.
kind of like reverse deja vu.
That makes sense.
Reverse deja vu? What the fuck is that?
It's you clench up when you...
That's like a Ringo Starr lyric.
I've got a new song. It's reverse deja vu.
Oh, let's cool about it. I can do all the
Don't
Beatles.
tell fucking Yoko.
You remember that the anthology that was on the television? It was like an event.
Yeah, I remember that. Like in the 90s, right?
Yeah, it would have been
Late 90s, early 2000s.
It would have been about 95 because I was still in this band and I quit them about that same time. And it was a good time.
They just came out with another anthology. 4.
They can't do that.
I know. They tacked it on the end.
Money,
Let me
money,
show
money,
you.
money,
Yeah, we have
money.
They know that song.
Well, if you're gonna be around as long as they have,
Right.
then it's not enough that you appeal to your generation. You know, that I think that there was going to be a band that was going to come out when they came out. They came out at the right time to do what they were doing.
Oh yeah, they crushed
Because
it.
all of the media stuff, the technology and music was it was so much better. Each album they came out with, they were able to say, what's the latest technology now? How can we? And they were there to, dare I say, capitalize on it at the time. It could have been anybody, but I'm sort of glad it was them because they weren't they were the first boy band perhaps, but they weren't put together in
Right.
a way. They came together
On their own accord.
and they did their thing in Hamburg and really did pay their dues as a bar band for
I heard somebody being interviewed, or they were talking about the Beatles, and they said that George had a resentment that he wasn't taken as seriously as a songwriter, but the observation was, you're fucked because you're in a band with fucking Paul McCartney and John Lennon, the two best songwriters. Not that
At the time, they were pretty damn good.
2 of the top 10 songwriters.
they're no
ever.
Barry Gibb, but
Hey man, they ain't staying alive, all right?
Some of his stuff is very sophisticated, but in all the ways that things could be sophisticated and not be for the sake of sophistication.
Right.
If that makes sense.
Sophisticated without trying to be?
Well, it's just good. If you follow the music where it takes you, a song will, if you follow it and you have the capacity to follow it where it's going, it'll write itself. But sometimes, and if you have a bigger vocabulary, then you can capture more detail and vividness in this chord change for whatever it is. Some people can only get this part of the picture because they only know so much about what they're doing on their instruments.
All right, I got a question for you.
All right,
hit us, Skipper.
What is the most rock and roll way you've ever injured yourself?
Something elite.
Smashing.
I had sex with a clown at a party once.
I was gonna say rock and roll. You fell off a ladder while you're having sex with a clown. With a clown or something.
They said, and they were getting ready to take their shoes off. I said, if you do that, I don't think this is going to happen.
So you got to leave the shoes on, is what you're saying. Yeah.
It just doesn't have the same effect if you take them off.
Then you see the normal feet, and you're like, I got to go all soft.
So
I ended up getting the wig because that came off, and I put it on.
Yeah.
I don't know if there was an injury in there, but as soon as you said that, I thought about that moment. I hadn't thought about that in a long time.
Did the nose stay on?
That no, that was.
Did the
I mean,
nose
I think
squeak?
I'm pretty sure we lost that just before we even went. Before we got some privacy.
Val, I got a question for you.
Am I
here,
answering
sir.
the questions? Okay, I feel like I'll take a question, and then we'll end up talking for 20 minutes.
No,
It's
that's
fun. That
how
is
it
what
works.
we're supposed to do.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
You're nailing it. We love it.
Okay.
In fact, we
Okay.
want you to come back not whenever
Not
it's good for
immediately,
you.
but maybe in season
Couple
5.
months. Yeah.
Here's a good one. No, you didn't come up with these. You and
Me and ChatGPT.
you and ChatGPT. If your music could be played in only one setting forever, would it be elevators, dentist office, airport bathrooms?
Well, my first thought was airport, but I guess I was thinking about Brian Eno. So, do you know about that?
I don't. I've heard of Brian Eno. Remind me.
Roxy Music was
Roxy
his
Music.
first band, and then he produced a lot of people, but he also did his own solo albums, and he's almost about the coolest. And from this perspective, like the coolest rock star of all time, because he didn't play anything.
Really?
He played with a synthesizer. He tinkered with it and made these great sounds. But I mean, how rock and roll is it to sit with your guitar and practice for 5 hours a day to get as good as whatever Jimmy Page?
Right.
By the time you're 20, that's not very cool. You know what I mean? That's a pain in the ass. It's tedious. It's not like it's not like what you want to think about what cool kids do. Cool kids are borrowing somebody's car with the girl with their top off or whatever. Is more of a rock and roll, perfect rock and roll setting. Or
Yeah, but those people that are that good with or whatever their instrument is, actually have to do don't they have to do the 10,000 hours?
They do, and
Right.
so that's not very rock and roll.
It's not.
This guy Brian Eno never did that, and he was in the Roxy Music band, Roxy Music, and then just came up with all these creative things. He was kind of like Andy Warhol. He would had what's called oblique strategies, and he would walk in when he was producing U2 and hand Bono a card and hand the Edge a card, and they would look at him and said, "Focus on negative space," or turn everything upside down. And if you're caught in a moment and you're recording, you've been working on it for a long time, like turn everything upside down. That actually worked for me one time. And what I did is I turned the microphones upside down and shot them up at my guitar, my acoustic guitar. I couldn't get it mic'd in the right way. And then, so I was like, oblique strategies, took out a card from the great beyond, and it said, turn everything upside down. And I was like, well, I guess that's the microphones. And I did it, and I was like, got the best sound that I had gotten all night.
Wow.
But what was I going to say, Brian? Oh, another one of his ridiculous artistic achievements was he was in Japan, I think, at an airport in Japan. They had just built this $1 billion airport, and it was just the marvel of science and the latest in, civilization, architecture, and all this. And they had like some crappy like bubblegum music playing,
Right.
and he was like, "This
Marvel of humans.
it needs a better
Right.
a better soundtrack for it." And so he did an album called Music for Airports.
That's awesome.
And I mean, to me, if I think about what we just said with this marvel of human achievement, what would the music sound like? That's pretty. It's a good inspiration for a musician to think about. I was thinking about this. I don't think any of us were 16 yet, except for maybe one guy, and he was going to drive us to the airport. And yeah, it was a new airport though. And we were all very, very high.
Right.
This is in super hip Greensboro?
This was in Greensboro, and they got in some new wing to the airport or something that was new in the airport. And I guess it was what I just said. It was like we were high, and it was like, well, let's check out this new modern. But we went, and of course, because we're all 14, 15, 16-year-old guys, we end up in the bathroom. And, well, you said airport bathroom, and I just happen to have a story. I've got a story for that. At some point, we all go to the bathroom, and we were using the bathroom as you do, and somebody noticed that flushed. I didn't hit the flusher, and it flushed. And we're like, what do you mean you didn't hit it? I said, well, I just heard it flush. And so, like, everybody has to go try it. And like, I didn't have to go. And I don't remember I'm pretty sure I walked up to the bathroom and did it or acted like I was going to the bathroom and walked away. I said, is it motion activated or is it, we decided it was zipper activated.
Nice.
So after you hear the last zzz, it flushes for you. And so we're walking up to it like, doing this, trying to get the thing to respond. I'm not sure if it was motion or maybe the weight of the water, but we were high and we were pondering this in the airport in 1987.
I like that we've already answered it, your closest brush with fame. You put down closet brush with fame.
Did I?
You did. I'm looking at it and I'm like, closet?
Closet brush.
And it turns out it was a clown.
It does say closet brush.
It does. It does.
I talked to Jimmy Page for like 20 minutes. And
No shit? Really?
yeah.
That's fucking cool.
Yeah. But
Right.
the night that happened, or the afternoon that happened, I ended up seeing all these people. I was like, just couldn't believe it. I was elated I'd met Jimmy Page because it wasn't like he was one of my favorite guitar players. He was like, it.
Right.
Yeah. Like,
What did you all talk about?
well, I was like,
Technical music stuff.
well,
right?
that's I saw him sitting there, and I'm just like, oh my god, and Robert Plant was there too, and I was like, well, I'm not going to walk up and say, hi guys, really, because they played a concert the night before, and I'd never seen Page live. I'd seen Robert Plant solo a couple times because he played. He came to the Greensboro Coliseum a lot. The Greensboro Coliseum was like the latest in technology,
Wow.
and then early to mid '70s. All the way
Right.
through to like the early '90s or maybe late '90s when they added a bunch of stuff to it. So all those '70s bands when rock music was rock music
Would come through there.
when
That's
dinosaurs
cool.
roamed the earth, as they said. I don't think I told you the whole Jimmy Page story, did I?
Oh, yes. Please
No, go
continue.
continue.
No, please.
So I figured I get there and they're eating, and I'm like, if I walk up to them and they got a bunch of food in their mouth, they're not going to talk to me. And so I knew, because they were at a place that was my famous, I played this place. It was called 12th and Porter. And my girlfriend was there. She like calls me up and says, you're not going to believe she was hanging out flyers for her band and said that they're here. She kept saying they're here. And I said, come on. She said, no, I wouldn't kid you. And I said, okay, I'll be there. And I get there, and so I sit and have a beer or two because I'd been out the night before at their concert. And I'll say this, he was as good at being accommodating to me as he is everything else he does. He was just really, really nice.
Wow.
I mean, I think you could tell it meant the world to me. Just since I knew everybody that worked there, I said, just let me know when they're finished eating. And they're like, oh, right, right, that's a good idea. And I said, yeah, just tell me. And so I walked up and I said, Mr. Page, and he like kind of looks at me and And then he realizes I'm not one of the wait staff. I'm there, I'm a fan. And he's sitting there at the corner of this table, like right here, and this is the front, and Percy's all the way. Robert Plant's back here with some people that I guess were their handler, bodyguards, people.
Entourage.
But there was a chair at the other end, and I had my hands on it, and I'm talking to it, and then I sort of feel it kind of going like this, and I'm like, sit down, mate. So
Wow.
I got to talk to him, and I just said, before I went over there, I was thinking, well, I'll just talk about guitars. I saw him play last night. That's enough. I'm not going to give up this chance just because I'm nervous. But he, at one point, he answered all the questions, and we talked for a long time. And I remember at one point he was saying whatever it was that I'd probably asked him a question, and he was going like this, and he was finishing the question as he looks at me, and he keeps sort of looking up at me like this. And then he's kind of going, are you paying attention to what I'm saying or not? And kind of looks at me, and I said, and I finally just went, I'm sorry. I said, this is a really big deal to me. And he goes, it's all right.
Val, we're going to wrap up.
Can I do a riff right at the end?
Hell yeah.
Yeah. That was fucking awesome. Thank you so
man,
much.
Awesome.
Thank you.
All right, we're going to do the close up.
This is Velvet Aquarium coming to you from the fairlyharmless.com with Jimmy and Bruce, a.k.a. Max Bubbles.
Awesome.
Jimmy and Bruce.
Please stop dreaming about me.
Once again, this has been Fairly Harmless. Missing the point on... Wait, what's the point? Our musical accompaniment provided by the Boston Horns, East Coast Funk. Their music is available for streaming and purchase on most media platforms. For Fairly Harmless, this has been your announcer, Fast Eddie. See you soon.
Carpet cleaner.
Not sex.
Right, carpet cleaner. I'm thinking about huffing carpet cleaner.
I mean, you could.
For once, it went somewhere besides sex. For first stop in the mental tour,
Right.
it went to huffing carpet cleaner. Right?
I've never tried that, but it's a good.
I bet, you could do that down at the Sherwin-Williams.